Good morning, students. So today we are starting with a new chapter which is from the subject geography, and this is lecture 1 of chapter number 3, water resources, class 10, subject geography. So in this particular chapter you are going to study about water resources that you have studied it in your previous classes as well. Now in this class you are going to study about water resources in some facts and figure. Then we are going to talk about water scarcity, how you can conserve it, how you can manage it, water harvestment, and all these things that we are going to cover in this particular chapter. So in this lecture, the topic that we are going to cover will be, firstly, I am going to give you a quick introduction about the chapter. What is this chapter all about? Then I will let you know about water, some facts and figures. So we will discuss about some facts and figures from the current situation. What is the status of water? So we are going to discuss some facts and figures about water. Then talk about water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. Then the assignment solution, I am going to give you the homework solution that I have given in the previous lecture. We are going to discuss that, and the homework, a small assignment that I am going to assign you in this particular lecture. That's all will be that there, that topics that will be there that we are going to cover in this particular lecture. So we are starting with the lecture now. So water resources. So the main thing that is there in this chapter is water. So the entire thing that is going to be around in this chapter will be around water only. So before starting this chapter, you should know about some facts about water, what is basically water is all about, and how this resource is useful for us. So as you all know that 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water only. So as you all know, the entire earth surface that we cover, 3/4 of the earth surface is covered with water only. But only a small proportion of its account is of fresh water that can be put to use. But from this 3/4 of the earth surface that is covering with water, only few percent is there that is covered with fresh water that we can use. Rest amount we cannot use it at all. This fresh water is mainly which is obtained from the surface runoff and groundwater that is continuously being renewed and recharged through the hydrological cycle. So from where we get this fresh water is from some runoff that coming from the rivers or the groundwater that has been collected, and it is continuously being renewed again and again and recharged through some hydrological cycle that happen with the groundwater to refresh it so that we can use it. So all the water that moves from this hydrological cycle ensures that the water is a renewable resource. How we can say that water is a renewable resource? Because we are collecting all the water from the which is coming from the rain and which is not useful in the groundwater, and then we are renewing it again and again for our own purposes and for our own uses. So we can say that water is a renewable resource. And you might have wondered that the 3/4 of the world is covered with water, and water is a renewable resource. So we got two facts that the earth is covered with water. 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water, and it is a renewable resource. Then how we can say that the countries and the regions around the globe suffer from this water scarcity? So if there is so much of water around us and we can renew the water as well, why we are saying in current time that there is a scarcity of water around us, and why it is predicted that at 2025 nearly 2 billion people will live in the absolute water scarcity. So it has been predicted as well till 2025. The 2 billion people around us who are living, they will be absolutely living on water scarcity. So how we can say that if there is so much of water around us and we are we can renew it as well. So there is still water scarcity. How? So we are going to discuss about some facts and figures why we can say that there will be a water scarcity. So firstly we will talk about the water on earth. So majorly the earth water around us is saline only. So the maximum number of water that is around us which comes from the ocean, 97%, 97.5% majorly that comes around from the saline water only, and the 2.5% or 3% we can say that the fresh water is left for us which we can use. So the amount of water that we are using is 3% only, from which all this fresh water that you can see in the second graph, it is coming from 68.7% from the ice sheets or ice caps or glaciers, and 30.1% from the groundwater, and 0.9% from others. So from where we are getting this fresh water from mostly 68.7%. So mostly we are getting from these glaciers and ice caps, then 30.1% from the groundwater, and the others from the 0.9%. Now this water surface, basically this fresh water surface, where that is coming from. So basically it is coming from the lakes, which is 87%. Majorly it is coming from the lakes only, and minimum we can say that 2% from the rivers and 11% from the swamps. So this is the ratio of how we are getting the water on earth. Now there was a statement that has been said by one person here, that was Thomas Fuller. He has said one line that we never know the worth of water till the well is dry. So he has said a very major thing here. So we never know someone's value or something's value in our life when it is gone. So like if we talk about the current situation, we are staying at home and we are not able to go outside, we are not able to enjoy the major things in our life, and that's what we are missing currently. So you might be missing to go to meet your friends in school and you want to talk to them, or you want to go back to your school. So all the things you are missing because it is not happening currently. So you never know the worth of something till when it is lost. So that's what Thomas Fuller have also said here, that you never know the worth of water till the well is dry. So you will never understand the value of the water here till it is gone from your life. Now we are going to I am going to tell you some facts and figures in statistics. So what is the basic number here, and what is the current status of water on earth currently. So out of 100% of water, 96.5% of the total volume of the world's water is saline only, and 2.5% is fresh water. Then if we talk about this fresh water, 70% of this fresh water occurs from the ice sheets and glaciers, and 29% is coming from the groundwater. So this is the basic statistic that we can see. The number, if we talk about the current status of water, how we are, from where we are using it, what is the amount of water, what we can't use, and where it is coming from. Now India gets nearly 4% of the global precipitation from the land of India. So basically India is getting it gets 4% of its global precipitation and rank 133 in world in terms of water availability per person per annum. So if we say that each person is getting water, if we talk about the rank which is given globally, it is 133, and the water each person is getting is 4% here. So the precipitation that we have counted as that India gets only 4% of the global precipitation, and the land area of India is 2.4% of the world. So you all know the land area that is covered by India is 2.4% of the world, and India holds 17% of the world population. India covers 17% of the world's population and it ranks 133 in the world in terms of water availability per person per annum. So, as you all know, the total renewable water resources of India are estimated at 1,897 square kilometer per annum. So basically, the amount of water that can be renewed again and again, the total number which is there for India that has been estimated, that is 1,897 square kilometer per annum. Per yearly, it is being renewed in this amount. The amount of water that we are using and the amount of water that has been renewed in India again and again is 1,897 square kilometer per annum, and India receives nearly 4% of the global precipitation and ranks 133 in the world in terms of water availability per person annum. So, and some other fact about it is that by 2025 it is predicted that large parts of India will join countries or regions having absolute water scarcity. So from last year only we have been receiving these messages that in Delhi only a few percent are there that is left with pure water or fresh water. Rest there is water scarcity in Delhi. Delhi and Mumbai is majorly two cities which are facing these problems. Then apart from these two states, many other parts of the countries are also being included in these things where there is water scarcity. We are not even close to a position that we can save ourselves from this water scarcity, because we are we are misusing it in such a way that there is a situation currently that we are in a water scarcity. And so the predictions have been converted that by 2025 many large parts of India will join the other parts of the countries and regions as well, where there will be absolute water scarcity. So you all know how this water cycle has been generated by this hydrological cycle. So this hydrological cycle ensures that the water is a renewable resource. So how this hydrological cycle works? So you have studied this in science and in your previous class as well, for transportation, condensation, precipitation and evaporation, or that all these terms you have studied it earlier also. So I am not going to explain you much about these. This is only a chart that is given to you about the hydrologic cycle, how it works and how the water is a renewable resource and we can renew it again and again. So here it is talk about, is water renewable resource? So yes, it is. Now we are going to talk about water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. So if there are certain conditions and it is being followed, what will be the situation that is going to be on earth? So if we abandon and there is no renewability of water, it is difficult to imagine that we may suffer from water scarcity. So if you think that we are abandoned and we are not able to renew the water, there will be a difficult situation where we can't even imagine that we are going to suffer with water scarcity. There will be no water for us, and the moment we speak of water shortage, we immediately associate it with regions that are having low rainfall or those who have drought prone. So basically, if we think about such water shortage situations, it is happening because of some areas also where there is not such heavy rainfall which is occurring there, and there is such situation of drought also. And if we talk about that, there is an instant thing that comes to our mind, which is Rajasthan. So Rajasthan is a basic land of desert where there is a less rainfall that comes, and there is very less proportion of water they are getting on a daily basis. And women are there, they are balancing many matkas on their head and they travel from kilometers to brought only few matkas of water for their living. to have to travel through some kilometers to get few of the matkas for their own survival. So they use such they collect and they store water and travel long distance to get the water from apart from their own houses. And the availability of water resources vary from their space and time. So why there's less availability of water in their places, and the resources are over shape and time, mainly due to the variation in seasonal and annual precipitation. But water scarcity in most cases is caused by over exploitation, excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. So what can be the basic reasons of this water scarcity? Basically the over exploitation, the industrial waste disposal to this water is one of the things. We can't use that again. Excessive use of chemical fertilizers, uses of chemical pesticide, rapid urbanization and overpopulation, global warming, drought. So if these will be the situation, these will be the condition around us that is happening also, we are using it in a very bad way. We are the one who are polluting our water, and we are pushing ourselves to a situation where we'll be leading to water scarcity very soon. So basically all the activities we are doing because of this industrial waste disposal to water, excessive use of chemical fertilizers which are going to water and rivers, then uses of chemical pesticides, rapid urbanization is there, overpopulation, global warming, drought. These are few of the conditions from which we are leading to water scarcity. So basically what are the reasons of this water scarcity? In most of the cases is overexploitation, excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. So if India, we call India as a monsoon country, and over 100 to 120 days we experience monsoon. So there is not a situation where we can't say that water will not be there around us. If we are saying that India is a monsoon country, we are receiving for 120 days we experience monsoon. So still we are facing water scarcity. Why? What is the reason of this water scarcity? If we are a monsoon country, we are receiving rain also, then what? So it is because of this overgrowing population, expanding irrigation, intensive industrialization and urbanization, and hydroelectric power generation. So as you have read about the hydrological cycle, and fresh water can be obtained directly from this precipitation and from this surface runoff and groundwater. So many of the regions, they are getting the water from the groundwater itself, and because of this precipitation that is coming up. So these are major things. Still we are facing this water scarcity because of the growing population, the excessive population around us, and the use of water will be more and more, and we are facing it as well. So if we there is many schemes and many rights have that been established to save water. Please don't use much, because if we go to have a brush also, we open the tap and we are wasting the water. We don't even know how much water we are wasting when we are bathing. So there's a lot amount of water that we are wasting on a daily basis, and if we calculate it per person is wasting water around 40 liters per day. If we talk about the waste, 40 liters of water that one person is wasting on a daily basis. So if we talk about population, the population of India is huge. Around 130 billion people are living on earth, in India only, and because of this population, the more use of water is there, and that's why we are facing water scarcity. Then expanded irrigation. So for this irrigation purposes, for this agriculture purposes, we need water, and because of this majorly used in irrigation, the water is not that pure enough so that the humans can utilize it. So the expanded use of irrigation is there. intensive industrialization and urbanization is there. Hydrological power generation, from where we are getting there are certain way we are getting electricity and power generations. So that is also there. So many of our cities are such examples that can say that water scarcity may be an overcome of large and growing population and consequence from greater demand of water and unequal access to it. So that is for the population. A large population means more water, not only for the domestic use but also to produce more food. So you use water not only for your domestic uses but to make food also you use water. So that is where we are utilizing majorly water. So hence to facilitate higher food grain production, water resources are being overexploited to expand irrigated areas and dry season agriculture. To and you may have seen in many television advertisement as well that most farmers have their own wells and tube wells in their farms for irrigation to increase their production and to produce more food. And that is why we are leading to following groundwater levels adversely affecting water availability and food security of the people. So these are the major reasons of water scarcity. Now India has majorly 10,360 small and big rivers, and there is water is sufficiently available. What is the quality? So here the reasons for the bad quality of water are the pesticides, chemicals and fertilizers that we are using, and we are throwing it directly on the wells, rivers and on the water itself, and polluted by this domestic and industrial waste. So if we talk about this post-independent India, we have witnessed intensive industrialization and urbanization. So after the independence we have witnessed that there was a major change in India, basically about major industries that have come up and urbanization. These urbanization have been come up in India on some major level, and they have created opportunities for us. And there are certain large industrial houses such as common place for the industrial units such as MNCs, and ever increasing number of industries has made pattern for this worse by exerting pressure on existing fresh water resources, and these industries, apart from being heavy users of water, also require power to run them. So much of these energy come from this hydroelectric power. Today in India, hydroelectric power contributes approximately 22% of the total electricity produced, and moreover multiplying urban centers and with large and dense population and urban lifestyle have not only added to water and energy requirements but have further aggravated with the problem. So majorly all the activities we are doing here, all the major activities of the human are doing, and about this industrialization which has come up with. So all what they are doing to the water, they are throwing chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers in the water, and the reason why there is such bad quality of water we are getting because of these things only, and because of the all the domestic waste that we are throwing in, not in dustbin and in river, and all the industrial waste that we are throwing in river. That is few of the reasons of this bad quality of water. And if you look into the houses, society or the colonies in the cities, you would find that most of these have their own groundwater pumping devices to meet their water needs. So you have pumps in your home from where you are getting the water, you are collecting the water, and but you don't know that we find that these fragile water resources are being overexploited and have caused their depletion in several many cities. From the where you are getting water, many other parts of the world they don't have that kind of system, and they that's why because of the over exploitation of in the urban areas they are getting water, but in the other parts who don't have such kind of system, they are in a cause where there is a depletion of water and there is no such water for them. Now, why water resources needed to be conserved? So, you all know about why there is the bad quality of water and why there is lack of water. Now, because if we talk about why we need to conserve it to enable a healthy life, first of all, because there is bad quality of water around us, there is not much water that is around us. So to live a healthy life, we need some good quality of water. If there will be no good quality of water, obviously our health is going to suffer from it. So we need to ensure that we are having a healthy life to ensure the food security. So obviously there is bad quality of water, there is no security that the food that you are eating, it is also safe for you because you are making that food in that water only. So that's why to ensure your food security, we need to conserve water and we need to have a good quality of water around us and for the continuation of our livelihood. So water is one of the basic need in our life. Without water we can't survive. So for the continuation of our livelihood we need water around us and to prevent degradation of our own ecosystem. So to protect our environment, to protect our ecosystem, we need to prevent water, we need to prevent degradation of this water around us for our own well-being and for the safety of our ecosystem. Now India's rivers, especially the smaller ones, have all turned into toxic streams, and even the big ones like the Ganga and the Jamuna are far from being pure. So currently, just because we are staying at home, the level of the rivers, they are getting pure now. They are getting clear, they are getting pure now because we are not using them and we are not polluting them much because these industries are closed and everything is closed. So because before this lockdown, India's rivers, especially the smaller ones, have turned into toxic streams. They are black in color. They are majorly black in color. They are very toxic, and even the big ones like the Ganga and the Jamunas are far from being pure. The assault of Indian river from population growth, agricultural modernization, urbanization, and industrialization is enormous and growing by the day. The entire life stand threatened here. So. If we talk about the source that has been given to us in 1999, so they have said that the Gangas and all the rivers in the India, they are majorly polluted and they are toxic. Even the small rivers around us, that they are highly polluted and they don't have clear water around us. But currently, I have seen many pictures on internet as well that the water is getting clearer now in the mountain ranges. So that's a good sign. So, what was the reason of these toxic streams that was around us? Because of our own things that we were doing with the water, because of the population growth, agricultural modernization, there was urbanization and industrialization. So these were the major things. Then you may have already realized that the need of the hour is to conserve and to manage our water resources, to safeguard ourselves from these health hazards, to ensure food security, continuation of our livelihood and productive activities, and also to prevent degradation of our natural ecosystem. So we have talked about this, how you can manage this water scarcity and how you can manage water around us. So over exploitation and mismanagement of water is so much. So to abolish that, we need to take certain steps. So that we are going to discuss in future lectures to be in to be safe on a safer side, so that all the impoverish of these resources and cause ecological crisis may have profound impact on our life that is happening again and again, and we should safeguard ourselves from these activities. So today we have covered till water scarcity, the conservation and how you can manage it. Tomorrow we will discuss the other topics from this chapter. Now the homework solution that I have given you in the previous lecture, this is the solution. So assignment solution, answer number 1 for the question that I have given you. So in secondary sector, secondary activities that involve the manufacture of products and goods such that they will be ready to sell and consume. These involve the manufacturing units and the industries such as cotton, textile industries, paper industry, sugar industry, iron and steel industry, etc. Second, in tertiary sectors will perform services. These are also known as service sector as they trade services rather than goods. These include banking, teaching, insurance, health, tourism, and the person who involves in the tertiary sector services is also recognized as tertiary sector. Answer number 2, about you have to explain GDP first. So GDP, gross domestic product, more commonly known as its GDP, is one of the most common indicators used to track the health of a nation's economy. It represents the total dollar value of all goods and services produced over a specific time period, often referred to as the size of the economy. And NREGA 2005, the central government in India made a law for the right to work in 200 districts of India, which is called National Rural Development Guarantee Act 2005. It is also known as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Development Guarantee Act 2005. Is an Indian labor law and social security measure that guarantee work. So you can write this much also. If you want to add your own lines, you can add. Now answer number 3, the difference between the public and the private sector. Public sector, these organizations are operated directly by the government or by the government sponsorship. Second, the services charges are comparatively affordable. Third, government aided cost free services are provided by the organization. And private sectors, these organizations are operated by the private companies. The service charges are very high and not affordable for most middle class and lower middle class population. Third, cost free services and rarely provided by these organizations, almost none. Answer 4, there could be several reasons of. So the explanation is, first would be the basic services. First, in any country, services such as hospitals, transportation, banks, etc. are required. Aid and support to other sectors. Then the development of agriculture industries leads to the development of services such as transport, trade, storage, etc. Third, raising income. As income level rises, certain sections of people start demanding many more services like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospitals, etc. Fourth, new technology. Over the past decade or so, certain new services such as those based on information and communication technology have become important and essential, and the production of these services have been rising rapidly. Answer number 5, in primary sector, as the method of farming changed and the agriculture sector began to prosper, production increased, many people could not take up other activities, and third, it is the stage of the goods produced were natural products and most people employed in this sector. In secondary sector, because of new methods of manufacturing were introduced, factories came up and they have started expanding. Farmers begin to work in factories. This sector slowly become the most important sector in the total production and employment. Hence a shift had taken place, and it means the importance of sectors had changed. In the tertiary sector, in the past 100 years, there has been another shift from secondary to tertiary sector in the developed countries. Second, the service has become the most important in terms of total crop production. Most of the working people also employed in the service sector, they are observed in the developed countries. Now the homework that I want to assign you is not related to any of the questions. You just have to read the chapter and write a short note on how you can conserve water from your everyday life experiences. So you just have to write on your own words about how you can save water and how you can conserve water around you yourself from your daily activities that you are doing. So you just have to write it down and you have to show me and please mail me that on my mail ID that you already know, so I'm not mentioning it here. You just have to mail me on my mail ID to write a short note about how you can conserve water from your everyday life experiences. Thank you, and if you have any queries you can ask me in the comment section or the student inquiries section. And please, if you are sending me the homework, please write your name, roll number and your section also. That should be there. And still, if you are having any queries, please ask me in the comment section of the student inquiry section. Thank you so much.